Imagine a sporting event so powerful that it can stop wars, unite entire nations, and make billions of people forget everything else for a single month. An event where heroes are born, legends are created, and dreams are shattered in front of the entire world. Every 4 years, the FIFA World Cup transforms ordinary football matches into moments that become part of human history. From dusty fields in the early 20th century to the billion-dollar stadiums of today, the World Cup has evolved into the most watched sporting event on Earth. But how did it all begin? Who created the tournament? How did it survive wars, political conflicts, and countless controversies? And what were the moments that changed football forever? Today, we're taking a journey through the complete history of the FIFA World Cup, from its humble beginnings in 1930 to the modern era of global superstars. This is the story of football's greatest tournament. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Birth of the World Cup, 1930 to 1950. To understand the World Cup, we must first travel back to the early 20th century. At that time, football was already becoming popular across Europe and South America. However, there was no global competition to determine which nation was truly the best. The Olympic Games included football tournaments, but FIFA wanted something bigger. The man who made it possible was FIFA President Jules Rimet. Rimet dreamed of creating an international tournament where countries from every continent could compete for football glory. After years of planning, FIFA officially announced the first World Cup. The host nation would be Uruguay. The choice made sense. Uruguay had won 2 Olympic football gold medals and was celebrating the centenary of its independence. Yet organizing the tournament wasn't easy. Traveling across the Atlantic Ocean in 1930 was expensive and time-consuming. Many European teams refused to participate. Eventually, only 13 nations joined the first World Cup. The qualification rounds, no giant stadiums, no television broadcasts, just pure football. The final was played between Uruguay and neighboring rival Argentina. In front of a passionate crowd in Montevideo, Uruguay defeated Argentina 4-2. The first World Cup champions had been crowned. The tournament was a success. A new global tradition had begun. 4 years later, the competition moved to Italy. Unlike the first edition, teams now had to qualify. Italy won the tournament under the leadership of dictator Benito Mussolini. Many historians still debate whether political pressure influenced some decisions during the competition. Italy defended its title again in 1938, becoming the first nation to win consecutive World Cups. Then tragedy struck. The world descended into the chaos of World War II. The World Cups planned for 1942 and 1946 were canceled. For 12 long years, the world's greatest football tournament disappeared. When the war finally ended, football helped bring people together once again. In 1950, the World Cup returned in Brazil. Millions expected Brazil to win on home soil. But in one of football's greatest upsets, Uruguay shocked the host nation and won the decisive match. The defeat became known as the Maracanazo. More than 70 years later, many Brazilians still consider it one of the most painful moments in their sporting history. The World Cup had survived war and returned stronger than ever, but its greatest era was still ahead. Chapter 2. The Rise of Legends, 1954 to 1970. The 1950s and 1960s transformed football forever. The World Cup became a stage where legendary players could become immortal. In 1954, the tournament was held in Switzerland. The overwhelming favorites were Hungary. Their national team was considered nearly unbeatable. They had gone years without losing a match. Most experts expected Hungary to win easily. Instead, West Germany produced one of the greatest upsets in football history. Coming from behind, West Germany defeated Hungary 3-2. The match became known as the Miracle of Bern. It helped rebuild German national pride after the devastation of World War II. Then came 1958, a tournament that introduced the world to a teenager who would change football forever. His name was Pele. Only 17 years old, Pele stunned defenders with his skill, creativity, and confidence. Brazil won its first World Cup, and a global superstar was born. 4 years later, Brazil won again. Although Pele suffered injuries, his team remained unstoppable. Brazilian football had become the gold standard. But the greatest World Cup team ever assembled appeared in 1970. Hosted in Mexico, the tournament was the first to be broadcast globally in color. Millions watched as Pelé led Brazil alongside legendary teammates. The team's style was breathtaking: fast passing, creative movement, attacking football, pure entertainment. In the final, Brazil defeated Italy 4-1. Pelé lifted his third World Cup trophy, a record that remains unmatched for any player. By the end of the tournament, Pelé was no longer just a footballer. He had become a global icon, and the World Cup had become football's biggest spectacle. Chapter 3, Drama, Rivalries, and Global Expansion, 1974 to 1994. As the World Cup grew, so did its drama. The tournament became a battleground for national pride, political tension, and unforgettable rivalries. In 1974, the World Cup was held in West Germany. A new superstar emerged. Johan Cruyff led the Netherlands with a revolutionary style known as total football. Players constantly switched positions. Opponents struggled to keep up. The Dutch captivated audiences around the world. But despite their brilliance, they lost the final to West Germany. The next great hero arrived in 1986. Hosted by Mexico, the tournament belonged to one man, Diego Maradona. In the quarterfinal against England, Maradona scored two of the most famous goals in football history. The first became known as the Hand of God. The second was later called the Goal of the Century. Maradona dribbled past multiple defenders before scoring. Many consider it the greatest goal ever scored. Argentina went on to win the World Cup. Maradona became a national hero. The 1990 tournament in Italy was more defensive and tactical, yet it showed how much the competition had grown. Television audiences reached unprecedented levels. Football was becoming truly global. The World Cup final decided by a penalty shootout. Brazil triumphed. And football's popular. Chapter 4, The Modern Era and New Heroes, 1998 to 2018. By the late 1990s, football entered a new age. Technology improved, media coverage exploded, and the World Cup reached billions of viewers. The 1998 tournament in France expanded from 24 teams to 32. A young star named Zinedine Zidane inspired France to victory on home soil. The triumph united the nation and became one of the greatest moments in French sporting history. In 2002, the World Cup was co-hosted by South Korea and Japan. It was the first World Cup held in Asia. Brazil won again, led by the incredible Ronaldo Nazario. His comeback from serious injuries inspired millions. Then came 2006. The tournament ended dramatically when Zidane headbutted an opponent during the final match of his career. Italy won the championship. But the incident became one of the most talked-about moments in World Cup history. In 2010, the tournament moved to South Africa. It was a style based on possession and precision. In 2014, Brazil hosted the competition once again. The world expected glory. Instead, Germany produced a shocking 7-1 victory over Brazil in the semi-finals. Many fans still consider it the most unbelievable result in World Cup history. Germany went on to win the title. Then came 2018 in Russia. A young French superstar named Kylian Mbappé dazzled the world with his speed and talent. France became champions once more. A new generation had arrived. Chapter 5. The greatest final ever and the future of the World Cup, 2022 and beyond. The 2022 World Cup in Qatar was unlike any before it. It was the first World Cup held in the Middle East, the first played during the Northern Hemisphere winter, and one of the most controversial tournaments in FIFA history. Yet once the football began, the drama was extraordinary. The tournament featured surprises, underdog stories, and unforgettable performances. One nation captured the world's imagination. Morocco became the first African team ever to reach a World Cup semifinal. Their historic run inspired millions across Africa and the Arab world. But the story everyone remembers happened in the final. On one side stood Argentina, on the other stood France. For Argentina, this was the last great chance for their captain, Lionel Messi. For years, critics claimed Messi could never be considered the greatest player without winning a World Cup. The final delivered everything: goals, drama, comebacks, extra time, and moments of pure brilliance. Messi scored, Mbappe scored, then scored again and again. The match ended in a penalty shootout. Argentina emerged victorious. Messi finally lifted the World Cup trophy. Many fans called it the greatest World Cup final ever played. The image of Messi holding the trophy instantly became one of football's most iconic photographs. Now the world and new chapters will be written in football history. And so, from the first World Cup in 1930 to the modern era, the FIFA World Cup has continued to inspire generations around the world. It has created legends, unforgettable moments, and memories that will live forever. And as football moves into the future, one thing remains certain: the FIFA World Cup will always be the stage where dreams come true and history is made. Thank you for watching. See you in the next documentary.